Welcome, angry faithful, to another Friday What the Hell episode where we go over what we think or thought was news of the week, and what
And I'm here without it being dark. I'm not on the road. I'm not performing a dangerous action.
Yeah. We actually have Johnny here. He's finally a college graduate, Johnny. Yes.
Woo-hoo. But do we need to keep up the sound effect just for posterity?
What the hell?
When he's in his car.
Oh yeah. We have that sound effect in the background just for posterity while Johnny's in.
You up?
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
But anyways, this was an interesting week because Trump went over to the Middle East to do some deals with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and apparently Syria, which I'm kind of still, all of them I'm really kind of up in arms with a little bit. But we got here's something from people from the Middle East, what they were talking about. It's interesting how some other countries view our president. And this is just like the first of many.
Could have sat there.
Only one speech.
Went on for another hour. I could have sat there. The way he did it, the tone of his voice, and the points that he chose. I mean, if you want from a point of social, you want a point from political, you want a point from business, you want a point from defense, you want a point from technology. He covered all those and just did it in such a...
Sorry.
5 months of his administration, sending his emissaries around the world to create peace deals.
Bill, did you touch something?
I did.
Anyways, there's several other ones that I want to. Trump was also awarded the UAE highest prestige, the Order of the Zayed.
Zayed.
I am honored to announce that His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan bestows the Order of Zayed upon President Trump.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They're so out of step.
Well, they're not United States. You know, that's all 24 karat. As the thing says, he is the first president to receive that honor. And
first in a long time.
Okay, first
George,
in a long time.
George W.
Okay, yeah. Wait a minute. How did he get that? I mean, didn't we go to war twice and during his presidency?
Checking.
But another, let's see here.
George Bush, January 13th, 2008. And he is the only other American to have received it.
Okay, another
with golden sabers,
Hold on, let me.
white Arabian stallions, and a royal motorcade fit for a king. It was imperial treatment. Saudi outlets called it a tribute to power, something no U.S. president in history has ever received. But Trump didn't just bring symbolism. He brought $600 billion in investment deals. He brought the world's attention back to the Middle East on his terms. He signed a $142 billion defense agreement and launched a U.S.-Saudi AI alliance. Even more shocking, Trump lifted all sanctions on Syria during the visit. Meanwhile, Biden is still struggling with domestic chaos, inflation, and collapsing approval ratings. So why is Saudi Arabia backing Trump and ignoring Biden? One Saudi anchor went viral for saying Trump no longer represents a party. He represents power. And when your allies start calling someone else the real global president, that you have to ask, who really lost power? Breaking news.
So, yeah, the other thing that's in the news is Qatar giving Trump a $500 million plane, and people are upset about that.
Also, did you notice his attire during most of the countries he visited? What color tie did he wear?
Don't give a shit, Bill. But it was purple.
Why?
Because in that part of the world, purple is actually royalty, and everything, even if you've seen it, the carpet was not red, it was purple because it was a symbol of him being royalty.
And during the inauguration, what color tie did he wear?
Purple.
Yeah. He didn't wear his typical, the red power tie or the blue, kind of relaxed. Because I remember going, purple? What's up with that? And then I heard about the purple being the power color for the Arab nations.
Yeah. Now, Johnny, one other thing on this is the $1.2 trillion from Boeing. And the only problem I have, one, it's Qatar and
Qatar.
Who? Huh? No, it's Qatar. Anyways, when everybody says Qatar, you go with the everybody said Qatar. We don't like Nazi pronouns. Anyways, saying that, do you think it's wise for us as the United States to take that country when the president for that country or the leader for that country was a terrorist?
Honestly, no. Here's the problem that I see. It could be misconstrued as a foreign government trying to create a workaround election finance laws. Honestly. Now, I know that Trump is not eligible for another term. That's not the point. Let's just say in some alternate horrible universe where Kamala Harris won the presidency. Had she received a gift of this nature and accepted it, the press wouldn't have said a damn thing. They wouldn't have, because it doesn't fit the narrative of throwing the current, administration under the bus because current administration pays their paycheck. But now,
are you talking about the aircraft or the Order of Zayed?
The aircraft.
The aircraft, yeah.
Okay, because the Order of Zayed, that award is going to go into some presidential archive. It's not like he's going to take it home and pawn it. Okay, he's not going to make a dime off of that. That's going to go into a presidential archive along with every other thing that's received as a gift while he is president of these United States.
It's probably just going to go to his presidential library, honestly.
Yeah, it's going to go in an archive until the library has been made. Even if you go to the Lyndon Baines Johnson Presidential Library down there in Austin, well, up there in Austin for me. But you're not going to see every piece of paper because it's all It's in a file room upstairs. I mean, you can see clearly into it, but with this aircraft, had it been donated by Boeing itself, that's one thing. That's an American company. But this was purchased by a foreign government and gifted to the president of the United States.
Well, the whole reason why they're actually doing it is because Boeing screwed the pooch in the first place.
That's not the point, though.
No, I understand that. I'm getting precedent.
You look at Air Force One, and it is the most, when it is airborne, it is the most secure piece of U.S. sovereign soil, so to speak, in the world. It is the most secure aircraft in the modern world. I mean, it gets fighter jet escorts. When it's flying domestically, it's equipped with anti-air defenses, chafe. I mean, it's encrypted end-to-end communications. I mean, the whole 9 yards.
EMP shielded.
Yeah, it's EMP shielded, but I mean everything. I personally, I'm not a fan of the fact that a foreign government gifted this or is offering this as a gift.
My only thing,
because that aircraft alone is like what, $80 million?
Oh, it's
400.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, 400. Yeah,
400 million. Okay.
It was.
How big of a favor is that
for amenities?
How big of a favor is that?
Well, they also are buying at least $1.2 trillion within planes, and
they also previously had given us a military base, and the value of the military base that they gifted to the U.S. Was in the beginning 1.5, and I think it went up to $2 billion. That was considered a gift to us. This gift is technically to the Department of Defense.
Still,
well, okay. There is something that it's culture. Their culture is you always give a gift with any kind of dignitaries. And yes, I totally understand that, but some cultures are really weird. I mean, what was his name? I think it was
but a $400 million gift, and nobody's expecting any kind of quid pro quo. I mean, there's got to be something reciprocated. I mean, $400 million. I mean, I get the gifting of land to operate for the U.S. military to operate on. I get that. That's in their best interests because Qatar doesn't really have that much in the way of a war-fighting military. They're more of a kind of like a King's Guard kind of a thing, right? It's more show, dog and pony show. But that serves their better interests through the way of national security, and that's fine. It gives us a foothold, an operating base within the region. Great. It allows Qatar to have a warfighting military in the area to provide them with the means of border security, for lack of a better term. And that's fine. That's great. I'm on board with that. But the aircraft itself, I don't want to get down into the fine minutia of, verbiage on some kind of a, paperwork associated with that. But I just have a very hard time wrapping my head around the idea that something of that size, something of that caliber isn't expected with some kind of reciprocity.
You might be right, and we won't be able to see that until later on. But here's the flip side of that, okay? This is what's been happening in the United States. Me and Bill covered this kind of like last week. We touched our toes into it. It's what the globalists are. I'll say globalists, but I mean it's mostly European countries. They're trying to whitewash what the Muslim did for the past thousands of years since they've been in effect. And now here's another thing that's kind of eye-opening, and I really wish that we could stop some of this stuff without the harshness of being called either A, a racist, or B, a what's the term for some kind of anti-religion, a specific religion, whatever it is, but anti-Muslim. We'll just say that. And
Islamophobe.
Okay, what is it again?
Islamophobic.
Islamic phobic. I don't want to seem that, but when you're starting to have evidence and facts and everything, it's getting kind of scary out there. And this is one of the facts that it's been online.
What we as Muslims want to implement here in the United States, we believe the Constitution should be replaced by the Quran.
First move that I will do, I will abolish the Constitution and I will establish the only logical and rational Constitution, which is the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
When it comes to spreading Islam on a state level, on a societal level, that method prescribed is jihad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed that the ones who don't accept the ruling of Islam, they must be fought. This is simply the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So those that don't accept Islam, they need to be fought. And we need to change the United States Constitution with the Quran and Sharia law from their mouths. I didn't make this up. I didn't say it. They said it. And these are the people that we don't think on the right, on the conservative, on the Republican side, that these people should be allowed to reside in the United States. These people should not get student visas. These people should not get work permits. These people should not get green cards. They should not get any immigration benefit out there. And somehow the left calls this free speech. This is not free speech any more than yelling fire in a crowded theater is free speech. You are literally advocating for the destruction of this nation, and your speeches and what you stand for is contrary to the culture of this nation. And people that think this, talk like this, act like this, and support this have absolutely no business being in the United States of America. This is not a freedom of speech issue. This is a national security issue.
Yeah, it's not a law that's enforced, obviously, but I believe back in the 50s, there was a law that was passed and signed into law banning Islam from the United States. So, I mean, obviously, I think at this point, if it wasn't like completely like reversed or whatever, it was probably contested, by freedom of religion, but the problem here in Texas is that we've got a lot of communities popping up where it is strictly Muslim Sharia law being enforced, no other law is recognized, kind of a thing. They're trying to set some up north of Houston. There's some outside of Austin, a couple of places outside of the Dallas Fort Worth area.
Plano, it's called Epit City.
But the problem that I have is, how do we enforce that? How do we not necessarily enforce it, but how do we deter that without encroaching upon their freedom of religion? Because you're going to get a lot of people that are going to argue, well, you're only arguing from the Judeo-Christian point of view. Well, not necessarily. It's not the government, as in the United States government, sponsoring a specific religion, which is the true intent of, I think it's the Fourth Amendment. It doesn't provide a separation of church and state. It just means that there cannot be a singular state-sponsored religion. That's why we're allowed to have
Fourth Amendment, I think, is the
Or what?
search and seizure.
What is the religion?
The religion, freedom of religion is the First Amendment.
Is it still the first? Okay.
Yeah, first is
there's no such thing. The point is there's no such thing as separation of church and state. That is the most grossly misinterpreted part of the Constitution. It has been it for years. Ever since some atheists took their school district, their kid's school district to court because they didn't want to have to participate in prayer time. Well, nobody said you had to pray. Okay, you can just be quiet. It's a moment of silent reflection, right?
And it also shows your the kids to respect other religions.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it's like, hey, we're gonna pray. Timmy, I know your family's weird and you wanna you sacrifice goats or something like that. But right now we're just all gonna pray and just be quiet for a couple of minutes while we get this through. And the kid, I was like, hey, I understand that. You do what you do, boo-boo, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point was that the government wouldn't create a religion. It's because they didn't want the U.S. to have like the Church of England that has the power over.
Right, which is what I was saying, is that it prevents the state from sponsoring a singular religion. It's not the government dictating how we're going to worship. It gives us the freedom to do that however we see fit. Whether it's God, whether it's Allah, or even the fucking flying spaghetti monster, it doesn't matter because we have that protection. But what I was trying to say is that it's going to be hard to deter Sharia law from being set up in these Muslim-only communities because of that. And, without them trying to throw the whole separation of church and state thing, which again does not actually exist, but that's not going to stop them from filing lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. And I'm just like, ugh. Because Sharia law is a very slippery slope, because once you allow a piece of it in, the next thing you know, you've got modesty patrols going through and integrity patrols going through with clubs beating women because they're not adhering to whatever sector of section of Sharia law that happens to be enforced that day.
Johnny, I think that you're wrong about that. It's never going to happen in the United States, like in New York. They already have that. It's getting scary out there. Where I want to be a person of saying, let bygones be bygones type deal. You do you. I'm going to do me. Have your freedom pie and enjoy it. But when you start hindering because of your beliefs and everything of other people's freedom, that's where I have a problem with it. I've always had a problem with it. I don't care what kind of station that you're living in your own mind, but the fact of you're hindering another person's freedom, persons, I mean, man or woman, and you're not even following the law of the land. You're following your own culture law, which, I'm sorry, just because a woman did adultery, am I upset? Yeah. If a woman cheated on me, yeah, I'd be a little bit upset, but I don't think she should be beaten to an inch of her life.
Yeah.
So anyway, then you have his more of his Mideast trip, and his okay, when he said a couple of weeks ago that I want to rename the Persian Gulf, what did you think about that?
I thought it was just Trump being funny, because he says a lot of funny stuff. He thinks are funny. Sometimes it's just taken way out of context what it happens.
It had a purpose.
Okay.
Sure, me and you probably we heard it and went, huh? Okay. Liberals heard it and went, ah. What did an Iranian think when they heard it?
That's a good point.
I have a video I discovered. If you let me play that for a moment.
Can you not add it to your screen?
Huh?
Can you not add it to the screen?
There it goes. I'm still on the slow computer because I have to send mine back that I just got.
It's fascinating how easily that
Wow.
Tell you about one
Oh,
of the
no,
best
free
things
advertising.
right now.
We don't do free advertisement around here.
the Islamists were tricked over the last few days, over the last couple of weeks, by President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. Everything goes back to what's been said over the last few days by the president. Do you remember over the last few days there were a lot of rumors about the Americans changing the name of the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Gulf? Now, it was fascinating because a lot of Iranians, normal Iranians inside and outside Iran, had a meltdown saying, whoa, whoa, because they have a lot of pride. You know, it's like, well, you can't, it's like the insulting the Greek salad, right? They're like, whoa, whoa, what is going on? President Trump, let's go kill him because, you know, how dare you, it's the Persian Gulf. And I was like, just wait. I told people to just be patient. I knew exactly what the plan was. It was very simple. And it worked. Number one, trigger the Islamic Republic of Iran, because they had to get offended, and they did get offended. They did a whoopsie during the negotiations because they were angry, the negotiations between the US and Iran, and they showed their hand and their actual red lines. So the negotiations is becoming quite obvious. It's not going to go well unless it's now Iran's turn to compromise. About a few weeks ago, a lot of us were worried that the Americans are going to compromise. And I'm like, well, that's just not going to go well. And I must admit, I was quite skeptical. Not only that, triggering the Islamic Republic, showing their cards, and then all these rumors across social media, without any confirmation from the Americans or the Israelis, the rumors that apparently President Trump has abandoned Israel, right? Netanyahu and Trump are not getting along. What was happening in the middle of all that? The Americans were negotiating to get a hostage out of Gaza. Hamas thought, this is it. The Israelis have been abandoned. President Trump is going to force Netanyahu to withdraw from Gaza, agree to a permanent ceasefire. They released the hostage, like, okay, so we're ready now. And then President Trump and Netanyahu came out together saying, okay, now we're coming in. Both the Houthis and Hamas are getting massively hammered. And President Trump said, do it. Green light to Israel. Their friendship never went anywhere. This was a very obvious tactic to get Hamas to become vulnerable to the Houthis, to not be taken seriously. In fact, one obvious move is also to get the Houthis from Yemen to continue to attack, because President Trump said that the Houthis promised me not to attack anymore. And, you know, we'll keep an eye on them. And obviously, now they're attacking, which means President Trump wants an excuse to target Iran. And this is what's happened tonight. The announcement by the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, that new and fresh sanctions are now being imposed onto Iran, the Islamic Republic, in the middle of negotiations.
Look, if you want to learn a system that will simplify every...
Way too many commercials.
It's no longer about the carrot, it's about the stick. The Islamic Republic have been suffocated. Syria has been dragged closer to this side in order to prevent Hezbollah, which is next door in Lebanon, from receiving any support, any equipment. Have you even seen all the reports that we're giving you? The attacks on Israel is simply just coming from Yemen, the Houthis, the last part. Hamas, not much. I mean, they don't know what they're doing. Hezbollah suffocated because they don't have any other route to receive any support from the Iranian regime. Statement from the Syrian government and the president, well, self-appointed president. Damascus. The Syrian Arabic Republic welcomes President Donald Trump's recent remarks regarding the lifting of sanctions that were imposed on Syria in response to the war crimes committed by the Assad regime against the Syrian people. This development marks a pivotal turning point for the Syrian people as we seek to emerge from a long and painful chapter of war. The removal of these sanctions offers a vital opportunity for Syria to pursue stability, self-sufficiency, and meaningful national construction led by and for the Syrian people. We regard this announcement in an extremely positive light. It reflects a shift towards a constructive international stance on Syria, which stands ready to foster a relationship with the United States that is grounded in mutual respect, trust, and shared interests, and are committed to a forward-looking dialogue that prioritizes the dignity and aspirations of our people. Now,
he goes on into the new leader of Syria. Okay, was a terrorist, but now he's wearing a suit. Now he's finding maybe it's better to have peace and make deals and make the country prosper. But his next step is to tell he's the leader of terrorists to not be terrorists anymore. Is that going to work? I don't know. But the people of Syria are going nuts. Another thing in his video was he put this video out right as it happened, and he was playing live the celebrations, the horns, the everything. It was just like his still shot from the video is that was that night that Trump said he was removing sanctions. Women in the streets waving the flag, all kinds of celebrations. But someone made a comment under that was very telling. One of the things that is Trump's goal, and he said this, is to get countries prosperous to entice the Islamists to come back to their home country to rebuild it, instead of right now they're destroying Europe. One of the comments under this was really interesting. The Saudis and Middle East are becoming more West, while the EU and UK are becoming more Islamic. So Trump is trying to reset that and create an environment where those people will go back. Will it work? But that's what his goal is, to get some of those people migrating back. You know, like we have open borders, they have open borders. The open borders are destroying right now Australia, Canada, the UK, and the EU. They're being decimated by this. They wanted open borders here. That was part of the World Economic Forum thing. They wanted it worldwide, and Trump's just throwing a wrench into it. And that's one of the reasons they're so out to get Trump. Another one of the big things on his deal, they were talking about the Iranians or the Israelis, and having this big rift between it. There were articles that came out of the UAE is not gonna support giving money to Gaza and giving aid to Gaza now. Well, sorry for bumping around. The point, the thing is, what they left out is, you find it in some articles, but they usually leave it out. If you look at it, UAE tells Israel it won't work with the new Gaza aid mechanism as it stands. As it stands is left out of most of the articles. You can find it in a few that are trying to be honest. And then you find that it's a couple of unnamed sources that said that anyway. Now, I had another video I wanted to put up, but it vanished. It was taken down, but I transcribed it before that happened. So here is a statement from Brett Baer with Sheikh Abdullah Ibn Ziyad, a sheikh in the United Arab Emirates. Okay, I'm not going to try. But so they're trying to say, oh, they don't help the people of Gaza. And he said the UAE has provided over 42% of all international aid into Gaza in the last almost 2 years now during this war. If it wasn't for the Abraham Accords between UAE and Israel, with the great role that was played by and initiated by President Trump, I don't think we would be as capable in delivering that much aid into Gaza. So he's expanding the Abraham Accords, and if all goes as it should, he's going to get the Nobel Peace Prize. But the liberals are going to fight that tooth and nail just because it's Trump, even though he's going to deserve it. He's the greatest peacetime president we've had. I don't know how much you guys have been following his tour, but and watching his speeches, but they've been incredible. I highly recommend to anyone out there, don't get the news media's interpretation of it. Watch his speeches at each of the events, especially the first one where they actually introduced him with a big American flag and their flag on the screen, and had Proud to Be an American. They played introing him in the Arab country, and then played YMCA at the end.
Yeah.
that was like really.
I thought that was hilarious. But Johnny, your thoughts?
Peace, as far as peace in the Middle East, God, how cliche of a phrase has that been over the last 30 or so years? I mean, if he's pushing all the right buttons and he's talking to all the right people, and these people are genuine with their commitment to stabilizing the region, to having their expatriates come back and commit to rebuilding their own infrastructure, and we're not having to foot the bill for it like we have been for decades, I'm all for it. The left is just they're gonna stew, and they're gonna fight, they're gonna bitch and moan because it's, one, what they do, two, it's not their person doing it. So if he's successful, great. What I would love to see is some more domestic policies being pushed. I mean, I understand that we need to stabilize, our borders. We need to stabilize national security. We need to stabilize the economy. But there's a lot of issues that need to be handled over here. And I don't know. It's really a touchy area. Without chastising or throwing a particular faith under the bus, I mean, there's got to be a way to stem the flow of locusts that are making their way across the world, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's not through a war of attrition, because we can't sustain that, because we're going to be the only ones putting up a majority of the fight anyway. I mean, you've seen, just like you stated earlier, Bill, with the destruction of Europe, you're starting to see demonstrations, anti-Muslim demonstrations all across Europe now, saying, get out. And then what is it? I forget his name. He's in England. He announced that he was going to run for prime minister, and he's adopting a "Make Britain Great Again" policy. and kind of modeling his campaign after Trump's, modeling what his, I guess, for lack of a better term, his administration or his tenure as prime minister, modeling it after what Trump is trying to do. And it's amazing to see that, what a little good old fashioned nationalism does. As far as, fighting against the touchy, good feely, warm and fuzzy, hey, we need to coexist crowd, because with certain sects of Islam, at least, it doesn't appear that they want anything to do with anything except world domination. And I don't want to just straight out call it, the evil of our time, because there's a lot there. It's a close second. How about that? But I really don't. I'll just say this in short. As long as it's done, and the people that he's entering into these accords with, or that he's having these discussions with, they're true to their word, and they maintain at least a shred of integrity, fine. Continue to press on and do what you need to do. But as soon as you come home, understand that there's no time to take off for golf. We've got to take care of things here at home. We've got an economy to fix. With the scaling back of the tariffs with China and everything like that, great, awesome. That's a step in the right direction. Deregulating a lot of these industries, and just the infrastructure here needs some TLC as well. But I mean, I don't know if it's important in stabilizing national security here at home, fine, do it. If he's the only one that can get it done, great, whatever. But we need to see more activities here, if that makes any sense.
Well, that's what he's doing. He's going to get the activity here. That's the purpose of the trade deals. That's the purpose right now. He's trying to box in China and get business to move out of China, and either move out of here or move into other countries like Taiwan, South Korea, India, and then our deals will pick up from those.
Yeah,
it's all going to come together. He's got to get the money coming into, and the businesses coming into America, and it's going to fix itself between that, and he's drawing them in by reducing regulations, making it a better environment for investment. You can't build anything in EU. EU has too many regulations, so nothing can go there, even though they're like, oh, we're gonna separate from the evil Americans. No, that's the people, like you were talking about, not the ones who are starting to protest the Islamic and all that. There's a greater percentage of the people who are still brainwashed with the liberal ideology, and we're going to separate from America, but they can't do it. And the liberals' method is to raise our taxes and take our tax dollars and give it to companies so that they will come here. But when they come here, they have so many regulations that it's like the CHIPS Act. A lot of the companies, like over 50% of them, are close to 45%, either the project shut down or they had to pause because the regulations were killing them trying to build those plants here.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to physically be here. It's kind of like there was a gathering of Macron, Starmer, and a few others a few days ago on the Ukraine-Russia deal, and everyone always says, "Look, they're by themselves." Well, if you actually read the article or listen, he was on the phone. And you get a lot of people in Europe who say, see, look, he's not even there. No, he's on a conference call with them. Then you read the statements that they make afterwards. And whereas the Europeans are looking at that and going, oh, we don't need the Americans, the leaders will always say, And we can't do it without the Americans, without Trump. Every statement, every ex post that one of the foreign leaders make, and I'm not talking about some third party person, the actual leader on his feed makes, it's we did this, and our goal is this, and we can't do it without Trump.
Yeah.
So he doesn't need to be there. He makes a lot of deals on the golf course.
Well, okay, so
Yeah,
I guess maybe I needed to clarify that, because there was a time when, like, especially during the 80s, I mean, you think about the Reagan administration, the press obviously didn't like Reagan at any point, but they reported a lot more fairly back then. The media wasn't so much and so blatantly in the back pocket of the left, but it's, and I hate using this buzzword, but the optics are horrible.
I mean, you're not wrong. Seriously on that.
And I'm not even really buying into the whole, historically low approval rating, because, I mean, depending on what poll you talk to, I mean, they're all going to come out, and the average is probably going to be the better side of 50% anyway.
Are you talking about what Mike Schumer?
No, I'm just talking about the overall approval rating that they say that Trump currently has.
Oh no, there's a funny video of Mike Schumer saying that. He's like, he's not approved or anything like that. And one of the reporters clapped back, and he's like, what about your approval rating being like 17%?
Oh yeah, Chuck Schumer, yeah.
Chuck Schumer.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I mean, it's just,
I mean, they know these polls are fake.
I understand that the work's getting done. I have no doubt about that. Okay, but with the way that the way that it's being reported, okay, it makes it incredibly hard to point out. I mean, especially with the way that, like search engines, like especially Google. I mean, I know that we've talked about at nauseum about DuckDuckGo, things like that, that use a different algorithm that look past, the search blocks or whatever that are put up by like Bing and what have you. But it makes it incredibly hard and increasingly harder to go out there and look and say, okay, what has he done today? What's he doing tomorrow? What has he done over the last week? Without them reporting about him grandstanding in the Middle East, or him spending another day yet out on the golf course. And it's like, but yeah, we can't look back even a year ago or 2 years ago where Biden's falling off of a fucking bicycle, or spending what he thought was a day at the park, and he's just really being pushed around the golf course by his Secret Service agents.
I mean, Trump actually literally was golfing, took a little bit of time from the course, watched an attack that we on a terrorist organization, then went back to playing golf. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's the it's the typical, don't give a fuck, right? I mean, I get it. And
which is really great right now.
Yeah.
Because he's focused. He's focused. He isn't going to placate to the media, because it doesn't matter what he does, they're going to report it bad anyway. He could go on the golf course, it's bad. He goes over there, he's visiting his buddies and talking about a hotel, and that's what he must be talking about, building his hotel for his pockets. The airplane, all that, and what's he doing? He's focused. Yeah. You're going to see the results. It doesn't matter what they're saying right now. They're not having much of an effect. That poll, the lowest approval rating, is cherry picked.
Yeah. And like I said, it just depends on what poll you're talking to. So yeah.
And Rasmussen, after the China announcement, I think he went up two to 4 points from that.
Right.
All it's going to be, he's got so many balls in the air, and they're going to start landing. And they'll start landing. If they all start landing in his favor, what you're seeing now is irrelevant. and the media won't be able to cover it. It's like the audio that was just released from that 60 Minutes video, 60 Minutes interview.
Yeah.
The media has been covering it. Well, and then all of a sudden, Biden's own media people are writing books that, yeah, he was like that. Yeah, he was really like that. But that audio, if you've heard it yet, go find some clips on it and listen to it. That's just mind blowing. There's no way any American will be able to listen to that and have any trust in what the idiot media is saying anyway. They're not going to be able to spin it. There's just no way there's no way to spin it. It is that, it's worse than anyone thought it would possibly be.
Well, I just didn't want to come across because honestly, I have kind of stepped away a little bit from the politisphere because it really puts me in a bad mood, and it becomes very centric, right? Like it's the one thing that you want to that you just can't help but focus on.
Yeah,
and and I'm not trying to be that guy because I used to have a job where I would listen to talk radio all day, right? And even though it was conservative radio, it was still putting me in a bad mood. It was pissing me off. And I try to stay away from that. And, for good reason, because I like being married and I like my kids to like to be around me, kind of a deal. But I really kind of wanted to not necessarily make it look like, like a blind follower, here's the right side drone. I didn't want it to come across that way. I do try to stay a little informed. I'm just not, Buckaroo Banzai involved about it. And, but it's just, these are just some of the concerns that honestly weigh on my mind. But I mean, I understand that the man is he's a workaholic basically, and he needs to be.
I mean, he
But
makes
it's
$1 million for a reason because of that.
yeah. I mean, he's the kind of guy that if he stops and bends over to pick up $100 bill, he actually loses 5,000. So, I get it. It's a good problem to have. I just didn't want to come across as like, oh, he's just a Trumper, whatever. But
Well, okay, here's the thing about that, Johnny, is the sole reason why we do this. One, yes, we're reporting on news that's coming out, and some of it's good, some of it's bad. But when it comes down to it, we're not going to berate you because you're not on our side. If you can come up with a better solution, hey, say it. I don't care. It's about debate, and that's what a lot of people need to come up and do.
Well, here's the problem that we run into, because you know how we always talk about, if you're going to come on here and you're going to debate, have a well-informed opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do your research, left and right, look in the middle, form your opinion based off of those 3 points of view, and you're going to have yourself a pretty solid debate, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to come across as being the guy that only listens to the right. It's like I see what the left is seeing, or let me rephrase that. I see what the left is being force-fed by the media. I see what's actually happening. And then in the middle, you've got your moderates that are going, I just want stuff done here, and in order to get things done here, I understand that you have to go abroad to make sure that our national security interests are being taken care of, that the foundations for a peaceful future, especially for our kids, is being set up, not on a foundation of sand, but of something built off of the bedrock, right? So I understand that that's what he's doing. It's just I wanted to kind of give that, I don't know, for lack of a better term, I guess, kind of a devil advocate kind of a viewpoint on it. And that's the only place where I was coming from. So
yeah. All right.
Now you talking about the media. Here's one example, one quick example of just the media, like you said, placate, and the media is saying bad things, and I say he doesn't care. It's because it doesn't matter. Here's the level of brainwashing that the media has done. No, Trump isn't going to cut Social Security.
You think it's ridiculous losing Social Security? They are trying to stop Social Security. Stop us from getting Social Security. I am a senior citizen. Yeah. And when you become a senior citizen, you will be wanting that to be available to you. You will want that when you're a senior citizen. Maybe right now it doesn't make, but they take that money out of your paycheck. And by the time you're a senior, then you are eligible for Social Security, but they're trying to take it down every time. Every job, and the people. And then how are you going to be able to afford housing, Medicare?
Okay.
The point is, the brainwashing is so intense that it isn't he's going to cut a percentage of. They think he's going to completely eliminate. The media has convinced enough people. That's the ones you see out there burning stuff down right now, the Tesla and all that. These people who are out protesting right now, they think he's going to eliminate it, not do little cuts in it. They actually think not only Medicare, their Social Security is going to be zero. So trying to placate the media right now, let him do what he's doing, and once it falls into place, they'll eventually go, huh? That didn't happen. I got my taxes cut off of Social Security. I'm actually getting more. But when it happens, they got to get this big, beautiful bill through, and I'm worried if they don't get that done, it doesn't matter. We're sunk.
Here's what I would love to see. I would love to see a program being introduced where it allows people to opt out of their Social Security, right? And just follow me. Because what that does is it forces us as individuals to become more independent from the government, to be smarter with the money that we are given charge of as we are growing and working till our retirement age. Because yes, Social Security is going to be bankrupt. Why? Because life expectancies are growing in this country. Okay,
that
when Congress cannot help themselves but dip into that Social Security treasure trove to fund their little personal projects, what is it? Margaret Thatcher said the problem with socialism is that you eventually run out of other people's money. Okay, that's what's happening. I would love to see a program where we can opt out of Social Security, because a lot of times, if you invest your money properly, you work, you don't bounce from job to job. You're not some kind of shitbag that works for cash under the table because you're trying to duck your child support or something like that. And you're investing in your own retirement. You're investing in your own future instead of waiting on the government to hand you a check telling you, okay, now that you're on Social Security, you can only work X amount or we're going to take this away, right? Screw that. I don't want anybody to tell me how much I can or cannot work once I finally decide to retire, because if I decide to go into business for myself after retiring from working out at the plants and I make more money doing that than I did my entire working career, I don't think the government should come in and be like, well, we're going to take the money that you paid into for your entire life because you're making too much now. That's stupid to me. It's stupid because in its truest intent, it was designed as a means for people retiring at, what was it originally, 65? And then the life expectancy was 2 to 3 years after you get done working anyway. So they didn't plan on people living till 80 or 90 years old.
Yeah.
Okay? So in all honesty, by the time our kids get old enough to draw their own Social Security, by the time they're old enough to retire, medical technology will advance to the point, quality of life should have advanced to the point in this country where we are living into and right up against that century mark as a norm.
Yeah.
And I would love to see Social Security be given, for us to be given the option as taxpayers to opt out of that, because it gives us more money back in our own paychecks. And what do we do with that money? We either invest it or we spend it, put it into the economy, and it grows, right? It's just, it's common sense. I mean, I know it wasn't issued, but people need to use it anyway. I would also love to see a flat tax rate instead of this graduated tax bracket crap where, the more you make, the more you pay. Everybody pays a flat tax of 17%. It doesn't matter if you make minimum wage or you are the top earner in the country of the top 1%. 17% of what you make every month or every however many, however your pay scale set up. Every time you get paid, 17% of that, boom. And then by virtue of that, you could actually eliminate 2/3 of the IRS because it's a regulated amount. And that 17% goes into a national account that has, that built-in transparency. We can see an account for every nickel and dollar, and I'm not going to say penny because they're phasing those out, but every morsel of money that goes into that from that 17%, we can see how it's being spent, where it's being spent, things like that. It's where we start, and you de-incentivize people opening up foreign bank accounts that aren't touched, that can't be touched by the IRS. You de-incentivize foreign interests, things of that nature coming in. Just like, what is it? The Texas House is trying to set up a bill and get it passed into law to where specifically China cannot come in and purchase land within the state of Texas.
Yeah.
So, I think that we need that option. We need that option to separate ourselves from the government, so that way we're not beholden to the government when we get into our golden years. And it really forces us to be in a position to do better for ourselves.
Okay.
And there are a few cities that have opted out of Social Security. They don't pay into Social Security at all. I did a look, and I have to go back. I can't get it off the top of my head. But Galveston. So you can take a look at Galveston. Any Galveston city employee, they opted completely out of Social Security. It was some loophole about 20, 30 years ago, and they took advantage of it. Loophole closed, can't do it anymore. But there's a handful of cities that did. So you can look at them and see how they managed it in their private retirement funds.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one last thing before we go off air. I wanted to show this because I thought it was a joke, but apparently it isn't a joke. This is hilarious.
Taco Bell announced plans to open restaurants in Ireland, but officials there have one big concern.
They don't think the country's sewage system can handle it. This is a very serious challenge, Mike Jansen. Some infrastructure experts say it's already tough to serve all the houses in Ireland without adding the aftermath from Taco Bell diners. I don't know if this is specific to Taco Bell or is this just extra food, or one person said it would be like giving Niagara Falls a laxative.
Oh, come on.
All I could see in my head were the memes of like porta shitters burning.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to leave off on a good note this episode. I'm gonna try at the end of the episode to do something funny just to lighten the mood. So all the stuff that we've talked about, and that for the two listeners that actually listen to us, thank you for watching us.
Oh, there's the title of the episode.
Oh, Trump winning over China.
Hey, I did good. I brought that up.
Okay.
I did bring that up at one point.
Yes. Well, okay, here's the thing. It happened, and I'll do a quick synopsis on it. Because
Let Bill do it. Let Bill do it real quick. Bill,
Go ahead, Bill.
3 minutes. Go.
3 minutes. Yeah.
Well, a lot of the liberals are saying, "Oh, he got taken by Xi. He gave in. He caved." No, there was one statement he made where he said, "I feel bad how we're hurting the Chinese people." Now they were already hurting before the tariffs, but now stores are empty. People can't shop. There's millions of unemployed. Factories are shutting down, and they're shutting down. They're trying to survive by selling off pieces of their equipment. They can't get buyers for their equipment when they're shutting down. So he's actually trying to help the Chinese people. He had to come down. The Chinese government couldn't completely capitulate. He's on the verge of getting overthrown. He's on the verge of, he can't look too weak, but if it keeps going like it is, their protests are gathering steam. And you've got to look at other news. Like I follow different Chinese news programs. Well, not Chinese. They're Asian news programs that keep an eye on China. So it's not anything you hear from Fox, MSNBC, whatever. They're just going down the tubes. And he didn't want that for the people. It's getting so bad. So he dropped it down. What did he drop it down to? 30%.
Mm-hmm.
He dropped it down. He wants a baseline. Every country 10%. That's his goal, the baseline. But over 2 different time periods, he had put an additional 10% as a fentanyl tariff on China, trying to get them to take care of the fentanyl problem. Not necessarily just shipping the fentanyl, but the precursors of fentanyl is what he's going after, because they're shipping it out and it's being made elsewhere. And then he put another 10% about a month later as a fentanyl penalty. So his 30% that he brought it back down to, he brought it back to where he wanted. He brought it back to where it was before his big battle got into it. So he hasn't just gave in. He brought it back down to where he wanted it.
That, and we're actually, from what I'm understanding about the trade deal, is we're actually allowed to do our products over in China, and we're only getting like a 10% tariff on that stuff.
That was out of the new one. The 10%, it was February 4th under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act that he added the first 10, and then March 4th he added the second 10%.
No, the 10% is for China. It's going to tax us on our goods. So, even though they steal most of our stuff anyways. So, but anyways,
their point is, if they take care of the fentanyl problem, we'll take the 10% off.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. The 2 people that actually listen to us on a regular basis, actually. I'm David Dickerman.
I'm Johnny Skelton.
And I'm Bill.
Thank you all.
Wild William.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.
Oh, I am Bill.